Hi, Beej. How you
Hi,
doing?
Monica. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. Are you relaxed? You look very relaxed right there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good, good. Do you think we should tell everyone about Alvey?
Yes.
So we had, I lost my 17-year-old ragdoll cat a few months ago, Sunny, who was one of the producers of this. He was in charge of fur and makeup. But he just got tired. So we now have Alvey Stoller. Alvin Stoller is my favorite drummer, besides Chris Brown, of course. And I have a picture of little Alvey there. It's
Oh,
my little bit. And
that
yeah,
was just last week, right?
yeah,
Little.
he's just a
There he
little
is.
thing. He's 2 months old. He weighs 2 pounds. And he's a party animal. Came in the other night and my TV was sideways on the wall. Picture frames were broken. I clearly didn't do a good job of kitten proofing the house, but that's okay. He's fine. He's having a big time. So he's welcome to the family, Alvey.
He needs to get his drumsticks ready so when he grows
Does.
up, he can be a drummer, just like
He will.
Stoller.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't know who Alvin Stoller is, look him up. He's played with everybody. He was a jazz drummer. He's
Frank
fantastic.
Sinatra, mostly.
Yeah, he was with the Billy May Orchestra. Gosh, just with everybody, but he's my favorite. So we're doing a little thing on these shows for Model Your Mask. So if anybody has a mask, they want to send us a picture because they feel really fabulous in it, please do. And we advocate for mask wearing and being safe and all that good stuff. So please do. And I'll put the email address on the screen so you'll know where to send it. Okay, this show's a little different, right? So usually we have musicians on. We did have an episode with the actor Dirk Blocker, who's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and his wife Danielle joined us. But other than that, all of our shows have been with musicians or people in the music world. So this one really taps into your other love for books and the literary world, right?
They're kind of tied together in a lot of ways.
They are, and all of the folks on the show are, most of the folks are friends of yours. You're meeting Roy for the first time tonight, but there are mutual connections all over the place. So when we were putting this together, we were thinking about what would it be like to have a real cocktail party and who would you invite? And these are the people that we thought would be really fun to have in the same room together. So I'll bring them on. Do you want to say anything about any of the guests?
Just that I'm looking forward to seeing all of them and asking them questions and telling them to tell us stories because we all have them. And it's interesting how all of us are connected one way or another to each other in this little group. So it's kind of fun to think about.
I think so too. Well, we have Elyse Adler. Elyse is currently the Assistant Director for Education and Literacy at the Nashville Public Library. She's a soon-to-be Director of Events at Parnassus Bookstore, and she is with us here. Hi, Elyse.
Hello, Monica. Hi, Beegie.
Hi, how are you?
You're going to have to tell us all about the library and the new gig at Parnassus here in a minute, but we also have Ernie Reynolds. He's an English instructor, and he's completing his PhD in creative writing at Florida State University. He's also an arborist, and he also owns and oversees Outdoor Classic Structures, which is a company here in Nashville, or in Middle Tennessee. And he's worked on marvelous projects, residential to business to Cheekwood's Japanese Garden, that if you're in the area, you can see that now, and the Elephant Sanctuary's Discovery Center. So he's a good friend. He's a marvelous writer. He's got a short fiction collection coming out. Here's Ernie Reynolds. Hello, hello.
Hello, all. Hi, Elyse, Beegie, Monica.
Hi. And we have Dr. John Sergent. Hopefully his wife, Carol, will be joining us, peeking in a little bit. He's a Nashville physician. He was Vanderbilt University's Medical Center's first chief medical officer. He also served as the vice chair of education and residency program director in the Department of Medicine at Vanderbilt. He was the president of the American College of Rheumatology and was selected as a master for American College of Rheumatology and the American College of Physicians. So he's very helpful right now in medical questions. He's also a very good friend of Roy's, he and Carol, and a good friend of Beegie's as well. So we're excited to bring him on. Here's John Sergent.
Hello, Beegie.
Hi, how you doing, John?
I'm doing fine.
And last, we have Roy Blount Jr., author of 24, 25 books, something like that. He can clarify. He's a panelist on NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. He was a staff writer and associate editor for Sports Illustrated. He's worked on plays. He's worked on screenplays. He's a columnist for Garden and Gun. It goes on and on and on. And he's just a really funny guy and fun to talk to. So this is Roy Blount Jr. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Monica. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good to be here.
Oh, well, cheers, everyone. Cheers.
Yeah.
Let me add a little thing to that I just found out this morning when I read the Sunday paper one day late, that yesterday was Roy's birthday.
That's true.
Happy birthday, Roy.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
So we're, John, are you 79 yet?
I'm 79, yeah. No, I'm 78. I'm sorry. I'm a year younger than you are.
I thought you were, yeah. But 79 is just a bizarre age to be, it seems.
Wait till you get to be 80.
70.
It's
Yeah, 80
really
makes
hard.
sense. 78 is an RPM number, but 79.
But it's a prime number, right? I only celebrate prime numbers from now on. And it's
Oh, good, yeah.
your next will be 83.
Oh, God, yeah. I talked to a man down in somewhere in Mississippi once, a radio host. In fact, he said, I'm 74 years old already. No telling how old I'll be tomorrow.
Oh, my.
Well,
Well,
happy birthday season to you. It's a season.
Okay,
So
Yeah,
Uh,
as long as we're
absolutely.
celebrating with you.
It's a season.
Oh, yeah.
You just get to. I always announce my birthday long before. I did not do it this year though, because it's just
yeah, I
not the
don't
same.
announce it. I don't announce it. I conceal it on Facebook because I don't want to be greeted, have happy birthday greetings from complete strangers. Why? I don't know how to react to that. Like, who asked you?
Yeah,
So
yeah, there is
my wife
something.
can't understand it, but
Yeah,
I was able to get through my birthday without too many congratulations.
right.
well, we ruined that one for you. Sorry.
No, well, this is good.
Well,
I've
Your
gotten
face
over
is
it now.
full
That was
tomorrow.
all yesterday.
my Aunt
Well-
Shuggy in Chattanooga, I came from a Southern family too. Aunt Shuggy was actually named Alameda. And she lived to be in her late 80s. And she was a glamour queen. She was the cotton queen and all that stuff. And took every advantage of it. And so when she got to 39, she said, I'm stopping.
Mm.
And whenever anybody, like her doctors or anybody, would ask her what her age was, she'd say, I'm 39.
Like Jack Benny.
Yeah.
Solve that problem, she
Right.
said.
Well, 79 doesn't really work that way, though.
No.
It's a little late for me to do.
Oh, yeah.
79, it's just awful.
You wear it well.
I can keep track of how old our cat Jimmy is because he's 70 years younger than I am. So he's 9. Yeah.
Yes.
He's 9.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's
so funny.
sweet. The Bayou Volunteer Cat. Is that right?
Yeah, we were out kayaking on the bayou east, west of New Orleans, and he jumped into the kayak, and we put him out because they had places to go, and came back, and he jumped in the kayak again. We put him out,
Aw.
and then he jumped in the car, and then he jumped in my wife's lap, and then that was that.
That was that.
That was
We had a cat.
an honor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he had been
Oh, God.
abandoned there by somebody, I
Oh.
guess. And there
Oh.
were other less intelligent siblings of his look like lurking around in the background, and I think the alligators got them.
Oh,
Oh,
How do you know how old he is?
Because the vet said when we took him in, said he's 4 months old, and that was so we figured back, did the math.
Yes, that's probably right.
So it's about the same time as my birthday.
yeah. Well, when they're that little, do you say 4 months?
Yeah.
That's when they're that little. I've had previous experiences with kittens, but I'm currently experiencing how curious and how they're into everything, and they're developing their personality every day. It's really fun, actually. They're busy. It's like having a little toddler around or something.
yeah.
Jimmy's about worked his personality out, I think.
Okay, good. At 9, I would assume so.
Yeah, he knows who he is.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Ernie, where's Rosie?
Rosemary is, I'm in Franklin this evening. Rosemary is at the Monteagle House. She's a 9-year-old tabby, Roy. She serves many functions around the building. Right now, she's the watch cat while I'm away.
Yeah. Showing everyone who's boss.
How is Holly doing as well?
Holly is great. Holly is here in Franklin, resting with me. Halls is pushing 15. She's a mixed breed rescue sight hound. We just call her a Tennessee Brown dog, but she's got a little bit of a lot in her.
Yeah. Oh, they're both precious. They're great animals.
Yeah, they are.
This is remarkable that everybody has cats, except John. I know John doesn't have cats.
No, we don't have a cat.
Yeah.
I've always had
He doesn't
dogs.
like cats.
I like cats fine. We don't have one.
Well,
I like your cat, Roy. I don't want.
Oh, okay.
every animal needs an aunt and an uncle, so it's fine. He's, like Uncle John to Jimmy. It's just fine. So,
Jimmy calls me.
yeah.
The president doesn't like any kind of animals, you notice.
Well.
Right.
Any pets. The only president never to have pets.
I have a thing about that. I have met many people in my life that didn't have pets at all and would come up to my dogs. I always had dogs, and touch them like they were going to get oil on them or something, And you could tell the character of the person who either ignored animals or actively didn't like them. And I think it's a character flaw. That's just my opinion.
If the dog don't like you, likely I won't either.
Yeah.
One of the things that intrigued me about trying to put all this together is we're all 1 degree of separation away from somebody. And, Ernie, between your literary world and your dad, I thought, oh my gosh, I bet there's a lot of connection there. And, from Chet Atkins to Minnie Pearl to Elaine Wood to Slick Lawson, there's all these great people. And the thought of talking about Slick Lawson just made me really happy. I didn't get to meet him, but I've heard so many stories about him, and every one of them makes me laugh like I was there or something. It intrigues me to hear about Slick Lawson. So I thought it'd be fun just for you guys to talk about some of your mutual friends a little bit. I was reading in your bio about Chet Atkins, Roy. You had a connection to him, right?
Yeah, I played. I'm a terrible golfer, but I played in his golf tournament and was the MC of the entertainment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I love Chet. Chet. Obviously I haven't seen him in a long time. I don't know why I said that. Where's Chet been up to? But he always had jokes. He always had great jokes, Chet. Long jokes. And nobody tells me jokes anymore. It just occurred to me I haven't heard a joke in years. Slicky always had
in exactly 4 years.
yeah, well, there's that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You don't
And did you introduce him at Carnegie Hall or something?
I did that too. Yeah, I did that too.
What was that like?
Oh, I went on too long, I think. But you know, if you're got the audience of Carnegie Hall,
Yeah, you take it.
yeah. So I said finally, people started nudging me and throwing peanuts at me, and I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Chet Atkins." That was the name. And there were all these people on the front row who were just like this, and you could just see them following his fingers, and they were the guitar players. I think they were all saying, "God, how did he do it?"
Yeah.
You have to remember that Chet was a genius picker, and
Yes, he was.
I mean not hard to remember, I guess. But he also had great titles to albums. I'm trying to remember. One of them was called "Stay Tuned."
No, but
That's nice.
And another one he did with somebody else. Oh, I forgot who, but it was called no, I forgot what it's called. Oh gosh, there were pictures on there.
here's one, Neck and Neck.
Neck and Neck.
Good.
That's what I was thinking. Neck and Neck. They were standing there with their instruments with the necks like this.
That's funny.
Oh, this is, yeah, I'm looking at some of these now. I never really thought about it before, but that's great. That's fun. Well, obviously BG has a history with Chet. I didn't know what time frame you were connected to him or if you guys were around the same time or not, but I thought that was interesting. So you guys had that connection in common. Chet seems to be a good person to know.
Oh, he was. When I came to town, I was 21 years old, I guess, and coming off a teaching job, and I just wanted to freelance and play music and do all that stuff. And didn't know a soul really much except one piano player. And so I played little demos and songwriter stuff around town, made a living, making my rent and all that. And the first time I got a master session for a real record was because Chet called me. And he was different from all the other producers in town, because most of the producers back then would figure out what the latest hit was, and then they wanted to do 6 copies of that, send it out for somebody else. And nobody was doing anything different. It was just copying other people. And Chet was just, his brain was working all the time. And he would find new young people like me and a couple of guitar players, like Steve, what's his name? We went to see him recently.
Warner.
Steve Warner. Yeah. He was a protege of Chet's. And he called me and he said, "I don't know what I want you to do on this record here, but I've got another piano player, but I'm thinking I might just put you on organ over here in the corner, or let's just see." And he would use his brain on the spot, so to speak, so that everything that he recorded with people was new and fresh. It was something else that somebody hadn't done yet, And I even got to play train whistle one time on a Hank Williams thing. He had 2 piano players and an organ player, and he said, "Well, I guess you don't need to do those. Let me see. This is going to have a train on it. It's a song about a train." So he handed me this little whistle, woo, woo. And every 8 bars I had to go, woo, woo. And I got paid master scale like everybody else, but I felt like an idiot. But he was very sweet, and he toward the end of his life, he started doing concert dates, and he asked me to play some of those. So we did the Atlanta Symphony and the Nashville Symphony and things like that. And he put a lot of trust in me when I was too young to know what the heck it was, But he was really a mentor and a teacher for all of us. He was great. Also, I didn't know this until we went to Atlanta. The next morning after the concert, I went down to the hotel bar to get breakfast, and he was sitting there reading a book. I can't remember what it was, but it was a biography from somebody who writes for the New York Times. And I sat down at a table with him, and we talked about books. he was an avid reader, and he learned to read music late in the game. And he hired the guitar teacher from Blair at Vanderbilt to come over to his house every morning for every week and teach him. He would give him breakfast, and then he would teach him how to read the music. And he did that for a whole semester, and he became really good at reading music after all those years. So,
That's kind of unusual, isn't it, for a
It
musician
is.
to learn that late after
Yeah,
they're already
it
so
is.
good?
And he already had the technique and everything, you know, in the ears.
Yeah.
And but he studied it avidly and played some classical music, some Spanish guitar things and stuff. It was nice.
Ernie, did your dad have
The
any
winner.
connection to him?
My father was a commercial banker, and he sort of became specialized eventually in the country music, and he loved the underdog. I recall several instances of Billy Graham, George Morgan, Archie Campbell, Roy Orbison in between his hits, being at our house or hanging out with us. In fact, I met Chet a couple of times, but Chet was always on his game. So when I met him, it was at concert performances. It wasn't after a night out on the couch at our house.
Yeah. Now, we have to talk about Slick Lawson just a little bit or a lot, whatever. Elyse, okay, I don't know if Elyse or Ernie knew Slick. I did not know Slick, but have you heard Elaine talk about him or?
Yes, that's how I feel like I know him. Only because of Elaine.
Yeah, my connection too is not personal, but through his legend.
Yeah. Now Roy's written a lot about Slick. You've written essays.
Yeah, we went, Slick and I and another friend of mine and Slick's wife went to Paris with Governor Edwin Edwards once. Because, I mean, Governor Edwin Edwards, of course, was a crook, but he went to prison after this. But he had gotten reelected against, who's the Ku Klux Klan guy? Anyway.
Oh,
You know, who was the guy?
David Duke.
Hmm?
David.
Duke.
David Duke, yeah, he had beat out David Duke and then some boring Republican. And but anyway, he had run out of money for his campaign, so he he borrowed money then from people. And after he won, he said, well, rather than paying you back, I'll just take you all to Paris. So he took 2 747s full of Louisianans to Paris, and
my goodness.
it was they were all over everywhere. And at one point, Edwards was, he was just sort of famous for being a ladies' man, and so to speak, I guess. Yeah. And they, at one point, he was accepting an award from a nun standing at the Place.
Oh no.
You know, and the nun was from Louisiana, but she was a French. She was a nun in Paris now, and she presented him with an award and gave him a little kiss. And he said, "Watch out, sister! I don't want to get into the habit."
Oh.
Anyway, that's not a Slick story, I guess. Slick was taking pictures. Can I read you something I wrote about Slick? Actually, it's very short.
Oh, yeah.
Because Slick was this
Whatever you want.
people think of him as a wild man, and he was, but he also had a really romantic side.
He did.
And, Slick had romantic tastes too, even in marriage. On January 1, 2001, when he was divorced and his photography business was shot and he'd alienated many of his friends, he sent me a nostalgic email about New Year's Eve, especially the one he and his wife Susan, then wife Susan, had spent in formal attire in a decorator friend's show window.
Oh.
Window display had, quote, lots of chiffon and silver. We drank Cristal champagne, ate crystal burgers, and had white ties on Buster and Sister. Buster was their three-legged dog, and Sister their free-range cat. We drew a strange crowd of homeless and fancy people, and we never looked them in the eye. He's all
Aw,
That's great.
wow.
slick, yeah.
Oh,
But
thanks for
John was
sharing
slick.
that.
John was Slick's neighbor.
Yeah, he lived 2 doors from me for about 30 years.
Oh boy. Oh, the stories. Just
Interesting.
being present. Did you meet because you were neighbors?
Yeah, pretty much. But we met maybe the first week we moved in here. Matter of fact,
Wow.
about a month after we moved in, this was between Slick's marriages. We had some friends in from out of town for some kind of event here in Nashville, and we were getting ready to go to some luncheon or something, and Slick came out and said, "John, Carol, come down here. I want you all to see something." We went down to his house, and he wanted to show us what do you call the basket that you for hot air ballooning,
Oh.
that you ride in, what's it called, the gondola or something like that.
Yeah, Gone.
Yeah, whatever it was, some people had borrowed his hot air balloon and it had hit a Tennessee TVA line and exploded. Unfortunately, these people jumped out, and I think one person broke an ankle or something, but nobody was killed. And he was just showing us this. And this was about noon. And about that time, the back door opened, and this young woman, about 22 or 3 years old, came out scantily dressed and started yawning and said, "Oh my gosh, what a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day, Slick." And he said, "Yes, it is." And he just completely ignored it. And she finally kind of worked herself up to the group of us and said, "Slick, aren't you going to introduce me to your friends?" He said, "Oh, yeah. John and Carol, this is my friend." And she said, "Judy." "Oh, yeah, Judy."
There you go. One of those awkward moments. Yeah.
Oh, so many.
His front door was never locked. It was literally never locked.
There was nothing in the house worth stealing.
That's true.
I was up in his balloon with him, and we landed somewhere, didn't know where we were, and somebody said, "Are we lost?" And he said, "How can we be lost if we don't care where we are?"
Oh,
Nicely said.
yeah.
You know, he was a musician when he came.
Yeah.
He came to Nashville as a musician. That's right.
Yeah.
He played the trombone, didn't
He played the
Trombone.
trombone, and
Trombone.
he was the band director here in Franklin at the high school for a year or so. And I used to play country club gigs with him. And he played with the same band that I had been with for a while. It's about a 6-piece Saturday night dance band. And we were at a school, I can't remember where, it could have been Cookville or someplace, doing a kind of a prom thing. And they drug the piano out from under the stage in terrible shape, of course. And it didn't have a stool. They never do. You have to find something to sit on. And but the piano was in really bad shape. But I didn't care. We were all drinking wine and playing for drunk people anyway. And so in the first set, we were playing something, and I had a kind of a busy part, and the F sharp, right north of C major, right in the middle of the piano, the black part of it, it's stacked onto the bottom keys. The black ones are, and the glues had been loose or something, and it popped off and flew across the room. So I was missing one thing. And Slick said, he was playing bass, and he looked down at me and he said, "I'll fix it. We're going to take a break in a minute." So he put his bass down, and he went down to where they tape up the athlete's feet in the basement or whatever, and he found some kind of tape, and he fashioned this little thing, and he found the key over across the room and taped it all back in. And so every time you'd play it, it would rustle the rest of the night. He fixed it. So that's the first thing about him musically that I remember. But he was a good trombone player. He got injured in a car wreck and couldn't play anymore.
Right.
And that's about the time that he got really interested in he always did carry a camera everywhere, but he didn't go for the real thing until he stopped playing music a little bit. He still enjoyed it. He liked to go and hear music. He's funny.
Well, Beegie, do you want to show your pictures?
I don't know where they are.
Oh, I have them. I
Oh,
have them. I mean, I can pull them up on the screen. Will you, when you see it, you can tell everyone, these are all Slick Lawson photos.
Well, they're just 3, I think, or 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
So
he
what
did
about
a lot
this
of stuff with musicians, like album covers and things, but when he was starting out, we all were starting out. And he just carried a little camera with him and just did spur of the moment kind of things. Was in my living room, and I didn't know that Slick was taking the picture, but he just brought the camera out and just clicked it that afternoon while we were just playing the song. But he caught 2 good pictures of my Labrador at the age of
There you
4 months. There he is. Charlie. Abel Baker Charlie. And another one like that. That was my kitchen steps. And so I've cherished those all these years. This was in '64 when this would have been taken. And after he got so famous, I thought, I've got some of his pictures. That'd be nice just to put them around the house somewhere, So I did.
Here are a couple. You want to show them the promo pictures that you, isn't that great? It's a great photo.
We're all hippies. This is
And then the,
Jack Williams, a bass player, John Darnell, a guitar player and arranger. And this was Bill Harris. These 2 guys, actually all the 3 guys, and I also did the rhythm section for the Johnny Cash show for 3 years. And Slick was there a lot taking pictures and stuff because it had people like Tony Bennett and Stevie Wonder and people like that.
and then you have this one.
Oh yeah, that's when we all were crazy and dressing like hippies. Look at that.
That's a great photo. He's a great photographer.
He is.
Yeah.
He was. All of this stuff was the way he planned. He would rent a little place for us and tell us what to wear and what to bring and where to stand and all that stuff. He was very creative.
I understand there's a 4th of July party in your neighborhood, John.
Well, it's kind of a drive-by 4th this year. Yeah, we had a small neighborhood party in 1976 on the 200th anniversary. And then after that party, Slick and Dan, Pat, Burton, and Carol and I were sitting at Dan's pool, and he said, we ought to have a big party. And he started telling us what he wanted to do, bring the symphony and all this kind of stuff, and we didn't believe any of that was going to happen. So he assigned our various duties, and somebody had to buy the food, et cetera. And damned if about 60 musicians didn't show up and produce this amazing performance, and we had about 1,000 people there. And that was the beginning.
Yeah, he conducted.
We've gone ever since. I would say,
Yeah, we did, didn't he? I forgot about that.
What's that?
Slick conducted.
Anyway, Slick had bought. We had these kosher hot dogs from someplace in Atlanta that Slick had bought about 1,000 of, and he had them in his freezer. And I was cooking hot dogs one day. And we're running low, and I said, Slick, we need some hot dogs for us. And he said, they're in the freezer. And I said, how will I know where are they in the freezer? And he said, next to the duck. So I went and opened his freezer, and he was this mallard sitting there just frozen. Somebody had given him a duck, and he just stuck it in the freezer. But the hot dogs were great.
Oh, my Lord.
I think Elaine Wood said that Slick would commission her every year or so to paint something. Like one year it was a canoe.
Yep.
And, the American flag. And she said he'd always commission me to do something really big. The event just kept getting bigger and bigger.
She would do the canoe, and then we'd fill it with beer and soft drinks and several times.
Yeah.
It turned out to be an amazing event that's still going on, I guess, as soon as we get over this corona thing.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully next year we'll be able to.
Yeah, it was a great party.
BG, you have to tell Elaine's story.
Oh. This is the one that when John, I guess you and Carol were here, Pat Burton and Van did a little supper after Slick passed away. And people got up and after the thing and toasted Slick and told stories about him. So the stories lasted about an hour and a half. It was great. And so this is one that Elaine told, and I asked her to come on and tell it herself, and she said, no, you can tell it for me. But she said she would go out to dinner with him once in a while. And after he was divorced, I think, the second time. And she said they went out to dinner one night, came back to his house. Her car was parked there. And he said, do you want to come in? And she said, no, I don't like to get intimate on a first date. And he said, how about the last date?
Oh, God. That's awful.
Oh, he was at my house one time. He rode his motorcycle over from his house on Cross Bellmead Boulevard back to Green Hills. So he'd had a few and had a lot of celebrating to do and stuff. So when he got ready to leave, he walked up to the driveway where he parked the motorcycle, said, why don't you want to stay? You can stay the night. You don't have to drive that thing. It's kind of dangerous this time of night, and you've had a lot to drink. And he said, do you think I would actually get on this thing if I wasn't drunk? I'm too scared to ride the thing. So he jumped on it and just rode off. He was fine. And a lot of stuff he said, and I didn't really realize it until I read a lot of things that you wrote about him, but they actually amounted to like little things that you'd read in a book of philosophy or something. He was quite erudite, I guess, is what I want. Because a lot of stuff that he said was, you could just write it down as a good quote from somebody.
Right. Every now and then he would say something like, just out of the blue, I saw Jesus in a dream last night. And I thought he was taller than that. He was a good cook. Cooked gumbo.
Yeah.
Oh, his gumbo is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And his bowl of crawfish was great too.
Yeah. He told me once that when he was a teenager, his features were so fine and he looked so almost girlish that he had to be over bushy to make it clear that he was a bull. And, I never thought about that, but by the time I knew him, he was sort of overweight. But apparently he was I've met a friend of his once, and from high school, and they apparently one time there was their high school film room, or the assembly room was pitched so that the chairs went up and so everybody could see. And Slick and his friend sneaked into, what was the friend's name? Anyway, sneaked into the assembly room ahead of the big assembly and put a ball bearing behind the leg of every chair, so that as the speaker was talking, somebody would shift their weight and the ball bearing go one by one. Then they all started going and just interrupted the assembly.
That sounds just like him. Roy, I don't remember which book this was of yours, but it was the story about when you all went to visit the Klan to write an article about, and came back across the county, across the state line, and got to his house after going to all this stuff. And you both sat in the driveway, and you said, I feel like I should take a shower. And Slick said, I'm sorry, just every time I read this, it's what he said, I feel like I ought to put a tuxedo on and listen to chamber music.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, the only thing.
That is my favorite thing that you ever wrote about him, I think.
Yeah. He claimed that he once went to a big Nashville la-di-da event where everybody was in black tie, and he was casually dressed, and people were getting down on him for being casually dressed, and he got out the fire extinguisher and covered two people with foam. I don't know what that's true. He claimed he did.
Well, like Dave Barry says, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
Those things are really funny.
No, Slick. He said that I asked him how he got his nickname Slick. His real name was Wilmer.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, I said, why they call you Slick? And he said it was from birth. It was how expeditiously I left the womb.
Any other fun, slick stories you want to tell? I guess, can we tell the gold rush one?
Me? I don't know the gold rush. I mean, I probably do, but which one? I know what you're talking about. I know what
Where he comes rolling in.
Yeah. He claimed that he did a flip a standing flip into the gold rush bar and said, does anybody in here want to either fight or fuck? Because I don't get out very much.
I'm going to need to remember that line.
Yeah.
I know. It's
Well,
it would seem unusual if you didn't know Slick. You'd think, oh, where did that come from? But it sounds exactly like him.
well, that's the funny thing about Elaine. She's like, I don't know how you're going to do this because they all have to be edited. You have to beep everything out with him. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, we
Okay.
had a couple of actors on here, and they both said, can we cuss? Or can we say so-and-so? And so
Yeah.
the bar went down at that point. And so everybody's been saying whatever they want on this.
That's
thing.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, that's what we would do on a happy hour, right? I mean, I wouldn't hold back personally. Okay. Okay. So I have some Q&A from fans. Roy, first question's for you. Of your many reporting contributions, what source do you enjoy working with the most or for the most?
What source?
I think, yeah. I assume what outlet?
Or what outlet?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whichever one is available. And I don't know which outlet. I've written for so many.
How about one that pays on time?
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wish there were such things anymore. Gee. Yeah. I've kept track of how many different publications I have written for. And it's just ridiculous. 200 and something, I think. Maybe more than that. I'm writing a column now for Garden and Gun, which is, enjoy doing quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, I don't go out and cover much. I mean, I don't go out and I've used stuff that I've stored up over the years pretty much. Yeah, which, I did a thing with somebody at the library, in fact, with, what's his name, Rick Bragg. And he said he'd gotten to the point where he was getting paid for remembering things, which is a pretty good deal. My problem is that I've remembered everything already. I don't have to re-remember things. I just hope something happens today that I can remember. I used to just have so much stuff going on, I couldn't remember it all, which is a shame. If by any chance there is a heaven and I get there, I hope they have somebody that's kept notes on all the things that I wish that I could remember. Because, I can remember one time I did this book about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I was out with some
Three bricks shy of the load.
Yeah, about 3 weeks from our road. And I was out with a couple of the scouts, Tim Rooney and somebody else. And Tim Rooney told a story about an exotic dancer and a snake that caused me to roll down a hill, all the way down a hill, laughing so hard. And I cannot remember that story. Every now and then I got no clue what it was, but it was funny. It must have been the funniest thing I ever heard, and I can't remember it. It's a shame.
Oh my God.
If that story's waiting in heaven, I hope I get there.
They'll probably be there. Hey, I'm my angel that tells you the stuff. Come on over here. I said, well, wait just a minute. Let me get oriented here. Let me get
That's funny.
squared away. But I want to talk to you.
Oh, that's good. Well, Ernie introduced us to Rick Bragg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I as a matter of fact, I gave a copy of All Over But the Shouting to Delbert McClinton. He wanted to read it, so I sent him a copy not long ago. That book just wore me out. It was so good, but you couldn't get through it. And it's not that big, but it took me a long time because every time I got to the end of a paragraph, almost I was in tears and had to put it down. It's just, the way he writes is just incredible, and yet it seems so easy. It's like he just started writing one day and it all came out.
Now, Elyse, has Rick been through Salon? Did you have a chance to meet him? I bet he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
Seems like he's got to be genuinely just very humble, very kind.
he's humble, he's kind, he's funny, he's brilliant. It was fun. I mean, I'm saying this, we spent 10 minutes in the green room, but yes, adored him.
Your first impression's everything. It tells you everything.
They're never wrong.
Rick Bragg may come up again. Here in a minute.
Right, Rick, how about the last impression?
Oh. Okay, so Beegie, this question came in for you this week.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with books, but it is. I thought it was nice. Actually, the comment was as nice as the questions. BG, okay, is a soldier on your album your husband? And I think it's Sentimental Journey. Hold on. Was he a Korean vet? I clearly know the answer to that, but I thought you would want to address it for this fan. But then this person wrote, I've purchased 12 CDs with my stimulus money for my family, trying to bring romance back to a troubled world. And I thought that was really sweet.
Nice.
So.
No, that's stock footage from the record company's art director.
Yeah,
it's just
deflating answer.
Yeah. My husband's father was a World War II vet and a Korean vet. He got back from World War II and had to go back again. So he was an Army man. But Billy couldn't. He wanted to be a pilot, but he couldn't because of his eyes. And then he had high blood pressure, so it kept him out of everything. So.
Well, and Douglas, you can tell him about Douglas, how he was named.
Douglas Bader?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had an English setter that was red and white. Billy was a big fan of all airplanes. He was one of those people that if you went to a movie and there was an airplane flying over in the movie, he would correct whatever was wrong. It was like they didn't have that kind of wheel in 1944. They had it over here like this, So he knew everything about planes and about war battles. He was a history major. And he wanted to name the dog Douglas Bader, B-A-D-E-R. And I looked it up. Douglas Bader was a World War II fighter pilot for England. And he had lost both legs in the First World War. And he rigged up his prosthesis so he could still fly a plane. And he shot down more German planes than anybody else in that war. So he was like I could just mention Douglas Bader to an English friend and they go, oh, he's the most famous person, in the world. So my dog was an airline pilot.
Yeah.
An ace.
Yes, he's an ace for sure.
An ace, yes, he was.
Okay, Elyse, are you ready? I have a question for you.
I need to refresh my drink, but yes, I am.
Okay. Why don't you refresh your drink? I'm going to go to John, ask him a question, and then you refresh your drink. And okay, John, do you need to refresh your drink before I ask you this? Okay. Actually, I think you probably get this question a lot, but somebody wants to know what medical or scientific advice do you have for people regarding COVID?
Wear the damn mask.
Thank you. I was hoping that's how you'd say.
The guideline, the White House was diluted them, of course, but we need social distancing. We shouldn't have big groups together, including families. We think people seem to think if they're family, it's okay, but it's not. If you have a huge number of people, somebody's probably infected.
Yeah.
And it's quite clear now that children can infect adults easily. They can have almost no symptoms that infect those of us who are very vulnerable. So just follow the CDC guidelines if you can ignore what the White House has to say about it.
Right. Yeah.
Wear the mask.
Wear
Wear
the-
the mask.
Social distancing, lots of hand washing. That's right.
Yeah. And is it, we stay home. I mean, that's the thing. We still support venues by our businesses by getting delivery, and we do, we support small businesses by getting their food delivered. We do those things. We're getting all of our groceries delivered. I haven't been in a grocery store since February, or neither of us have. And I think when you can, some people maybe you can't. And I'm really sensitive to people who have to go out and work. But if you can, why not? Why not just stay home and get this past us? Right? Is that still safe to say?
I think I tried doing telemedicine for 2 months, and I just hated it. It's not.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing patients again in the hospital, but I'm taking reasonable precautions. But life is not without any risk. But I do all those other things. I wear a mask. I wash my hands a lot. I do those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also volunteering in the Vanderbilt vaccine trial. I had my first shot 3 weeks ago. I get my next one.
Really?
Yeah.
So
It's a cool vaccine.
can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's a messenger. It's something. This is a Moderna product from Boston. It's messenger RNA from the virus. And messenger RNA is the RNA that takes the DNA code and translates it into a protein, basically. And so I'm getting viral messenger RNA, which makes my cells make viral proteins. And my immune cells hopefully will recognize those proteins. If I'm getting I may be on the placebo. My immune cells will recognize that and create antibodies. It's a unique and very interesting vaccine model.
Does it make you feel bad at all?
My arm hurt enough that I had to get up and take some ibuprofen in the middle of the night after the first shot. So I think I'm actually in the vaccine arm. Carol's doing it too, and she didn't have any sore arm at all, so she's probably getting the placebo. But we don't know.
So you don't have to answer this if you want to, but can anyone do this, or do you have to have had COVID?
Anyone can do it. You would not be a good candidate because they want people who are at risk. So if you're staying at home all the time, the chance of you've got to get a few cases of the disease out of these 30,000 people, or many things.
Right.
They're like old people like me. They like people with pre-existing conditions, and they like people who are out in the community. So, grocery store workers and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
People who are working.
Are they finding? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just wondering if you've said how long is that study going to be?
Well, it's set up for 2.5 years, but the way they will probably stop it as soon as everything. Once it gets to be statistically significantly different between the two groups, they'll stop it. And my guess is that'll be about 18 months from now.
Sorry.
They need about 200 people to get infected to be able to say yes, it's either working or it's not. Out of the 30,000 in the trial.
Wow.
You need 200 people to get infected?
You've got to get if nobody gets infected, we can't tell if it's good or not. So what you have to do is, okay, this many in the placebo arm got infected, and half this many in the vaccine did, so the vaccine was effective. That's so we'll let you know about 18 months.
Yeah. Well, I hope you don't get infected.
Well, I do too. But if I do, I might be immune.
Hopefully, if that's the case. So, can people still sign up to do that, or have they met their?
No, they're still. I think Vanderbilt's about 2/3 of the way. There are 30 centers, and each of them has 1,000 people. Vanderbilt, we have about 600 or 700 signed up so far, and they're still signing up. But you wouldn't qualify, Monica. You can't. If you're getting all your stuff delivered, your risk is so low that
That's the downside of it, I guess.
How is Nashville? Do you see many people without masks out?
Well, yeah. If you go down to a lower bar, mask still. It's stupid.
Yeah.
A lot of truckers on lower.
And don't wear masks.
Yeah, Franklin is.
I said a lot of tourists come for the shows and the bars and all that sort of thing and don't wear masks.
Yeah,
the pictures are good because everybody's eager to find somebody to glare at.
I walk every day for an hour. And again, I walk with a mask and in a very quiet neighborhood. I rarely connect with anybody at all. And when I do, I can go to the other side of the road and stay 20 plus feet away from them. And I do. I think in general, when I'm in my car, I rarely see anybody wearing a mask. It makes me really discouraged when I drive through, across Main Street, which is a busy part of the area, and nobody is being cautious, in my opinion. I want to yell out the window and scream at them, but that would require me to roll down the window, which I won't do. So,
I've been going to grocery stores, and I will say the last time I went to Publix, there was only one person there without a mask, and he was shunned. People were moving away,
really,
which is a good sign.
maybe inside places like indoors, it could be very different. I wouldn't know, but well, wear the mask, everybody. The doctor says wear a mask. That's
Right.
what you heard from there. So, and model your mask. Send us pictures of you looking fabulous in your mask, and we'll put it on here, so everyone will tell you how gorgeous you are.